I'm speaking with Saman Segal, who is the CEO and founder of BreachLock. Welcome, Saman.
Thanks for having me, Richard.
Yeah, I wanted to offer congratulations for being in the Cyber 150, indicating that BreachLock is growing at a fantastic clip, some of the fastest in your size of company. And I was hoping to hear from you the origin story of BreachLock and what you do for your customers.
Absolutely. So let's start with the 30,000 feet view of BreachLock. So we're a player in offensive security market. I think most practitioners would understand that there's defense and there's offense. So we're kind of helping our customers looking at their infrastructure, their apps, their attack landscape from a hacker's lens, right? That's what we do. And of course, that's got different parts to it in terms of acronyms that we are all used to. So pen testing as a service is one of them. And we've been pioneers in that. We started with our PDAS in 2019, and past 6.5 years have been an incredible journey. We serve about 1,000 active clients on our platform, a lot of Fortune 500 clients there. And next to it, what we've also done is we built an attack surface management solution so that our clients can keep a tab on the ever-expanding attack surface, and then, of course, have that hacker lens available there so that they're always aware how's the hacker looking at them.
Yeah, we've come a long way from the days of PCI compliance and requiring monthly or quarterly scans. But I can easily see how that scanning, and all the tooling that you had to build to do that would be perfect for attack surface monitoring.
Absolutely, and you're spot on with that, Richard. Back in the day, we started with running vulnerability scans. Then there was chatter about how frequently you should run these vulnerability scans. Then the PCI and everything else came in, and they were setting standards for a quarterly frequency. But I think we were past all that, and a lot of that has to do with the shift that cloud and then COVID brought in. With cloud, the attack landscape was growing exponentially faster than ever before. Technology was much more accessible. And what COVID really did is that it pushed the boundaries and kind of diminished the difference between what's the fortress, because people were all of a sudden forced to work from home. And that has all led to this revolution. So you're absolutely right. We are in a phase where we need a continuous approach to concepts like vulnerability management or pen testing or red teaming, right? Because just doing a thermometer like check once every 3 months or once every 6 months is just not enough.
Yeah, everybody's environment just changes so dramatically every month, and the time that you probably are most likely to have unexpected attacks is right after you've updated or introduced a new service or something, and it should be scanned all the time.
Absolutely. And also from, a pen testing perspective. So there's always this contradiction on whether it's the scan or a pen test. What do we need? And what we've seen there is there's two kind of pieces to that puzzle, Richard. One is when people are building these assets and they want to put it online. So they want to do their production check. I would call that more like a hygiene check, meaning it's you have to make sure that it's worthy to go online in production, right? So that's where a lot of pen testing deployment has come in. We've seen. And of course, the automatic scans and autonomous pen testing, that's becoming more and more a common, control to put in place for large enterprises. And I think moving beyond, we are also seeing concepts like continuous red teaming now, where people say that, hey, the scans and the pen tests on applications are not enough because the lateral movement part from hackers, they come in, they get a foothold and they move laterally. So how do I check that? And that's where the continuous red teaming or adversarial simulations coming, and BreachLock is also going to take a stab at that very soon.
Oh, good. Yeah, so that's the breach and attack management, right?
Absolutely. I mean, there's different names to that. I'm glad that you call it breach and attack management and not simulation, because I've seen the mass market has not really taken off, and if somebody asks me why, as a practitioner, I've been in this space for 25 years. Before I started BreachLock, I was doing, millions of dollars worth of buying of cybersecurity solutions for a top bank here in Europe. And so I was on the buyer side of the table. If somebody asks me like, hey, why is that not picking up? Then my answer is, it's in the name. It's a simulation, right? Uh, and that's where the solutions like adversarial concepts like CART, continuous automated red teaming, and they keep changing these acronyms, which is not what we should get stuck on. But the red teaming element of it, which means how do you look for foothold, move laterally, and see if you can own a network. And this is more the infrastructure piece, not the application piece. I think that's kind of picking up, and because it's production run, clients and CISOs that I speak to, they see a ton of value in that.
Yeah, I bet they do. And I think just the prevalence of large consulting firms that are claiming to offer red teaming services, but then you immediately fall, it's very expensive to retain them. And then you fall into the trap of doing it once, right? That's that's like a compliance audit, right? You're out of compliance the day after.
Absolutely. And if you go to the bottom of this, Richard, it's actually the problem of speed and scale. Okay, so I have my own theory how this whole industry came about, because we were dealing with pen testing. It's not a new term. I mean, it's been there for decades, right? So, when there was financial audit risks and stuff like that, you sooner than later back, maybe we're going like 2 decades back, the auditors realized, hey, financial risk is no more about finance. It's also about IT. So then the term was coined non-financial risk, because financial risk and non-financial risk for a bank, for example, would come to the ultimate risk that a bank would have, right? And that's how the regulators kind of, manage you, right? So when these auditors were asked, hey, so now we need to look at non-financial risk, so we need to look at IT. I mean, they had the same hat of doing a financial audit, and they replicated that model in the non-financial risk stream, right? And what that was, I will send my accountants, they would do this financial. So it was people driven, right? So for a few, and that's where these big fours that you mentioned, they come in, right? Because they come with the same mindset.
That's where I got my experience.
Sorry?
That's where I got my experience. I was a pen tester at PwC.
Absolutely. And so, but when I was there at ING, which was one of my employers, and I was buying all these pen testing services from Big Fours, I was saying, hang on a minute, this is a technology problem. It's not an accounting or a lawyer legal problem. Then why am I only throwing people at this? I need to solve a technology problem using technology. And that's where the idea of BreachLock was born. So what we did was ground up, we started building our own automation engines that could help a human do a better pen test, right? Like from the get-go, they will get a great start, precision based on treasure trove of data collected from thousands of pen tests, which just means for a client that they're getting more bang for a buck, right? So it's that mindset shift that we had at BreachLock, and the data that we collected over the years. I think that's been of tremendous value to our clients, because it's not that they get a price advantage on that, but they can do more for the same price. And that's what we've always been talking about, right? Like, why do I need to do one pen test? Why can't I do 10, right? So I think that's where BreachLock has really added value to our clients. If we do large clients that have like 100, 200, 300 apps, and before they started working with BreachLock, they were more having a vendor management problem than a pen testing management problem, right? Because they were dealing with these 3 vendors, picking up their phone, calling them, when can I start my pen test? When can I give you the scope? And we've kind of facilitated that all process steps in a simple SaaS solution that anybody with limited knowledge of security can also follow and execute a pen test on. And we give the human resource with it, right? So the security expertise is on our side. So in that sense, we act as an MSP. And there's a funny story I have for that, why I made it like that. Because when I started building the solution, I had a choice. I could make it like fully automated, or I could make it with humans. And, speaking to so many CISO friends I had all across the world, when I was bouncing this idea off them, they all said to me, Samant, we have enough tools. I don't need another tool. I need a solution, right? And when I dig down a little bit further on that, I realized that there's so much of tool fatigue. It's like we give tools to them, and then it's like a solution in a briefcase. What that means is that you give them a tool, but it's actually a human on their side that's taking that tool and walking with a briefcase, which means you still need the expertise. So we bundle that with our solution. So then they just offload their offensive security workload to us, and then we take care of the rest. We just have a SPOC on the client side.
Cool. And do you give them an option of, when to schedule them? Do they get to, kind of interject their own control over what's going on?
So again, it boils down to the speed and scale problem, right? So when you talk of speed, it's not just about executing the pen test, it's also about scheduling the pen test, right? So through our SaaS solution, our clients have the capability to schedule their own pen test, right? They can submit their scope. And over time, when they get familiar with the platform, they get really used to all these things. So they don't need a project manager on our end. Which doesn't mean that we don't give them the white glove treatment. There's always a person they can call and talk to, because we don't want to give them a feeling that they've got a tool coming to my solutions attitude that BreachLock has, right? So we give them human support that they need, but everything that somebody would do on our side, they could also do it by just making a few clicks. And what we've noticed is with some of our larger clients, after 2-3 months, they don't even bother to call us before they would schedule a pen test. They just go and schedule it, select a calendar date, the scope, give the authentication credentials, the URL, and hit go. And, after we've vetted all of that information, again, by doing the human check on the scope on our end, we would make the start date definitive, and they would get an alert in the platform for that.
Cool. Just like, getting used to scheduling a flight in a website. You learn to trust the airline to do what they said. So this is great. You talk a lot about large clients. What about small clients? Is it easy for them to contact you, get set up, and start running their first pen tests?
Absolutely. So we, originally when we started with a large customer base of startups and scale-ups. That's where we were focusing in 2019 and 2020. So yes, the platform is able to do that, but the needs that the SMBs would have are pretty limited, as I see. That's not how I would want it to be from a security practitioner perspective. But what we've noticed over time is that the smaller companies, the smaller tech companies, are more focused on SOC 2, ISO compliance, or a vendor assessment check, right? So yes, our platform can facilitate that to give them that quick and easy experience at a better cost, I would say. But the real benefit of a PTAS solution or an attack surface management solution is in solving the core of the problem, which is the speed and the scale, right? So yes, we do the smaller clients as well, like we did in the initial years, but now we are moving kind of up market, and the product market fit is more with the large enterprise clients.
Awesome. This has been so great getting to know what you do, and I just want to thank you, Swan, for joining us.
It's been a pleasure, Richard. Thanks for having me.